Hello, welcome to Bike Social. I'm Michael Mann, that's Adam Child, everyone knows him as Chad. And this is Brands Hatch, and the sun has just come out right on cue, perfect. Chad, man, this is an ace looking motorbike. Tell us about it. First of all, what's it called?
So this is the Krämer GP2-R. So Marcus Krämer has developed this bike. There is a 790 version and a 690 single cylinder version. But what makes this bike very unique is this is basically the sister bike to the KTM that we've all seen. And the KTM is essentially this bike but with different bodywork and the aerodynamic wings, and around £3,000 more expensive. And obviously the KTM was 100 units that sold out in half an hour, where this bike you can actually physically buy and use and ride. So at the heart is the KTM 890 engine. The engine is completely stock, so it's not super tuned. You just start it on a start button, you don't need a trolley start or anything like that. And everything else comes race ready.
Really?
So this is designed to be a track day or race bike, because in parts of Europe this can be used as a race bike, and hopefully this might be used in the British Championship also. But as it stands, it is essentially a track day race bike with everything you'll possibly ever need. So this is actually how you buy it.
So it's an 890, so it's the engine out of an 890 Duke, right? Yeah. So it's the twin cylinder.
Twin cylinder,
what
890.
power does that make?
The quoted power is 130 brake. It depends on which exhaust system you're running, and that's quoted power. So we've got the quieter exhaust on it at the moment.
To comply with the noise limits here at
But
Brands.
there is a more open megaphone exhaust that is ridiculously ear-bleedingly loud. So true performance, you're probably looking at about 118 to 120 brake.
Okay.
Which, I mean, we've done a couple of sessions on it today at Brands, and it feels quite lazy. I mean, I'm old and I remember like 998s and 999s. So it's kind of that kind of power and that way of riding. So we're so used to screaming fours and multiple ride rates and lean sensitive this. This is old school almost. This is just drive it, just,
right. So you don't have to rev it?
No, it's really, really torquey. It does feel like an old Ducati almost. And you're not fighting it. So when you're coming in on the back straight here and you're always fighting, it makes Brands Indy easeable and accessible. The idea is it's 140 kilograms. So it's considerably lighter than any of the competition if you compare it to, say, an R6 or a GSX R6, any of those bikes. So it's light, it's got manageable, usable power, and everything is how it comes. So you've got real quality components.
Dimag wheels.
Multi-adjustable suspension. You can change the offset, you can change the linkage on the shock. The suspension is fully adjustable, front and rear. The fuel is kept underneath the seat in this Kevlar tank. Comes on the Dunlop slicks. Dimag wheels, Brembo brakes. It is essentially the idea that you want to do track days or you want to go racing and you don't want to convert an R6 or a GSX R1000 into a race bike. You just go.
And you've got GPS data on there, haven't you? So you've got live timing.
So you have two maps. One is rain and one is race. The rain map is still full power, but it just makes the fueling softer. You have a pit lane limiter, which works on the GPS. So you just hit that and that works on the GPS. Wow. And the GPS will give you your lap times up on the dash, and all the information is there. There's no ABS, there's no wiring you have to get around, there is no traction control, there is no lean sensitive anything.
It is race ready.
It is twist it
and go
forwards.
So of course it's got a race shift pattern gearbox.
Yeah, race shift pattern gearbox. You can go with road shift. You can change when you order it. You can change the specification. For example, if you're a bit heavier like me, you might want to change the fork springs, or if you're racing in Austria or Germany or Italy where the tracks are different, you can obviously change the gearing. And Complog are the company that bring them into the UK, and they'll always be on hand to help you with setup if you want anything changing.
Is the idea to run them in any kind of... Are they eligible for a race series around Europe?
In Europe there's different classes, because you've got like Sound of Thunder, there's Twins racing. In the UK, hopefully it might be possible to get it in a GP2 class.
Right.
But it's mainly been built for Europe. But what we wanted to do was get it over to the UK and give it a run, because nobody's really seen one in the UK yet. Complog have kindly lent us it for the day. And the first session felt really strange, because you're so used to riding screaming bikes, you know, you're always searching for that last quarter of the power, and then you have like all these rider rates flickering up on the dash, and this is using mechanical grip and huge grip from the Dunlop slicks, and it's got that real drivability to that. And when you ride it, it's like blah, blah, blah. You know, it feels really lazy. And we were doing 20-minute, 30-minute sessions, and Brands Indy, you don't really get much of a rest. And if you ride something with a lot of power, you're shattered, aren't you? Mm-hmm. And this is really easy, really usable, really forgiving. And obviously, we're only scratching the surface, but the lightness means you can brake later. You get on the power quite early because you've only got 125, 130 brake and a big fat Dunlop slick. So it's really interesting. It's nothing. I'm struggling to compare it to anything. You know, when you ride an S1000R, it's similar to a Fireblade, and it's similar to and when you ride a Panigale, that's similar to an RSV, and an R6 is like this is kind of
standalone.
Yeah, and everybody's watched it all day long, and it sounds great.
It's certainly been an eye catcher. It's attracted quite a lot of people, a lot of attention.
Yeah, I mean, at the price, I mean, we're looking at, this is 27,000, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, if I found it in the garage, I'd be happy. But when you look at the quality components that are on it, like we were chatting with John McGuinness earlier on, and he was like, when you add all the components and what it's got, you can see where the quality and where the money is. And if you convert a road bike into a race bike, if you buy a £20,000 S1000R, then the bodywork, then your carbon wheels, then your race exhaust, then your race suspension, you can soon tap up to £30,000.
Does it come with one set of wheels, or do you get a second?
I believe you get a second set for the wet.
Yeah.
But all the parts are available, so if you did crash, you know, the pegs are easily changeable.
I imagine you'll have Complog and Krämer on speed dial as well for any kind of advice on setup.
Exactly, they're always on hand to help you out, and the engine is a standard engine, so it'll have the same service intervals as a standard KTM. So it's not a highly tuned race bike that you need to be a technician. There's a switch at the back of the clocks, and you press the starter button, and you go. And then when it needs fuel, you put fuel in it, and you give it a clean, and then you go to your next track day, and you do the same thing. You don't need to be a specialist, and we've just got the base settings here, which are there or thereabouts. They're not a million miles off. They just need to be changed slightly for my weight. But it'd be really interesting when this bike gets, you know, a proper racer on it, and it goes up against proper race bikes. But as I say, what I like about it is it's so unusual and so different and manageable and easy. It's light, it's torquey, it's not scary, it's not intimidating, but it does take a little bit of getting used to, because we're so used to revving and screaming and rider rates. It's still really enjoyable.
Do you think it'd hang on on a bigger track with a longer straight?
That would be if you was at Silverstone, you know, on the full GP circuit. I think on the full GP circuit, if you were doing a track day, you are going to get passed by big litre bikes. But here at Brands Indy, and especially at UK tracks, you know, Brands Indy, Cadwell Park, Mallory, Alton, there's only, I'd say, probably Silverstone GP, Thruxton, which never really does track days, and Snetterton are the only ones where you're going to maybe feel you want a little bit more power, where everywhere else. And the other thing is, you know what it's like today, we've got 6-7 sessions in really good conditions. You ride a race bike with loads, you know, 140, 150 horsepower, and everybody'd be packing in the van at 3 o'clock.
Blowing, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Where with this, we can just keep it going, keep it running, and it's so easily manageable. You don't need to be an expert to keep going on it.
Excellent. Well, that sounds great. Well, look, you've got 3 more sessions this afternoon. So
three more sessions for me.
Yeah.
Just clarifying that.
We can look and we can touch, and maybe we can sit and go brum brum. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chad.
No worries.
I hope you've enjoyed. Again, don't worry about. Oh no, don't worry. Feel free to send all your questions, your comments, your thoughts about this lovely piece of machinery right here. Thanks for joining us.